Hi class, this is Professor Pam popping in to talk to you about Milestone 5.3. This is actually the milestone that a few people trip up on a little bit, so I wanted to make sure that I gave you good notes about this milestone so that you have good success as you're approaching it this week. The first thing I wanted to sort of explain is that with this campaign, you are selecting two different digital platforms to put your messages on. I know that a lot of you have gone a step further and talked about quite a few platforms that you would use, but for this project, you only need to choose two. And the reason for that is you are going to be creating posts for those two platforms. And this week, that's what you're doing. It is the two platforms you have chosen. You will be creating 3 different messages or posts for each of those two platforms. So that is 6 total pieces of content that you'll be working on. So hopefully that clarifies that. I know the journal is very close to this, so don't read my announcement about the journal and how to approach the journal this week so that you don't get confused between these two assignments. The next thing is, I know that maybe for your audience, a social media platform is not the best tool for you to use for your messaging to achieve your goals. So I would say if you are interested in a blog or a newsletter or an email campaign of some sort, that is all fine. If you decide to do a blog, or if you've decided to do a blog or newsletter, I don't need you to write an entire blog. If you could just show me that you understand digital media best practices by creating a headline that is strong and works for engagement, and then the first 1 or 2 paragraphs of the blog or newsletter, I think that that is perfectly fine. If you're going to be putting any links in there, or if there are photos or hashtags, be sure to put all of that in the blog or newsletter as well. It's really important that I see the digital tools that you are planning to use in this communication effort. Let's see. Okay, so this is really important, and a lot of people last term missed this. Please make sure that you are creating some sort of a visual element to go with the copy that you are writing for this campaign, okay? The reason I'm really focusing on this is when you get to the final presentation for the course, you will need to have visual elements for each of the posts that you're working on. So do it this week and get it out of the way. These milestones are set up so that they're sort of building blocks for the final presentation. So this week you are doing kind of the creative work in terms of the writing and the design that we will see that would be posted on a Facebook or in a newsletter or in X, whatever platform you are using. So be sure to do the visual elements. If you don't, I'm going to be taking points off and probably sending you a note that that's something you need to work on. One thing that I will tell you is I use Canva for a lot of things for school and for a lot of nonprofits that I do work for. And there is a free version of Canva. If you'd like to use Canva to create your visual elements, you can do that. There's also an Adobe version, which I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's a free version on Adobe that is similar to Canva. There are also numerous other programs that you can create visual elements from for this particular project. If you do not have Canva or you don't want to use a program like that, it is okay to pull images from Google. And the thing about that is, because we're in school, you will never have your paper out in the wild, so to speak. So we don't have to worry about copyright. This is for a school project. I do want you to share proper attribution if you do pull photos from Google, so that that is signified in the paper, and I know that's where you got the image from. This is super important too. You need to really follow the rubric this week. A lot of people will create their 3 posts for each of the platforms and just hand that in. And there are 2 sections in the rubric that you are then missing. So be sure to look at the rubric and those 2 sections. One is asking for a conclusion, and the other one is asking for context around why you're using this platform, why it appeals to the audience, and why the copy in the post helps you to achieve your goals. So if you miss that context, you won't do very well on the paper. So be sure to look at the rubric. The rubric is really, really important this week. It is not the smaller 3-section rubric that has been in place for the other 2 papers. So this one's a little more complex, so make sure you check that out. Last but not least, in the announcement this week, I have a sample paper that is linked there for Milestone 5.3, and this is from a student who did a good job in terms of following the rubric and the context that was needed around the paper. This student also did a good job with creating images that worked for the campaign that she was putting together. The only thing I don't like, and I'll give you a little note here, the only thing I didn't like about it was her copy for her post was separated from the images. I do like to see the image in your message or copy right below or above it, and then write the context for the paper in between these posts or separately, so that I can see clearly what your digital message or what your copy is that is helping you to achieve the goals that you have put into place. I think that's everything. This paper this week is a little more complex, so I just wanted to make sure that you're comfortable with that. You're all doing a pretty good job. Thank you all for choosing really great topics for this campaign. If you have any questions, please be sure to text me. I am out and about this week, so not on my computer, probably in regular normal times when you might be on there. I'm totally fine if you want to text me if you have a question. That's completely fine. So just be sure to tell me you're in 445 so that I know exactly where my brain needs to go to so that I can answer your questions. So I think that's everything. I hope you have a great week, and please reach out if I can help. Okay? Thanks. Bye.